Okay, so in terms of what we want to begin with here, I think the answer is if we look at our journal, we were talking about this before, how we just don't actually have very many options at the moment. So I think that probably means we're looking to do our next main quest mission, Priority Palavin. So Primarch Fedorian of the Turian hierarchy has called a war summit that presents an opportunity for the Alliance to request help building the Crucible. Unfortunately, Fedorian was caught in the Reaper attack on Palavin, the Turian homeworld. Rescue the Turian Primarch, the leader of the Turians, from Palavin's moon. So that's the plan. That is the plan, I think. And we've checked around the area, both on the Normandy and even the Citadel as well. So I think we're pretty ready for this. So let's make it happen. Okay, and this is our first time opening up the galaxy map in Mass Effect 3, and there are certainly some similarities between Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 3 in this regard. Of course, it is the same Milky Way, except, there's the whole thing where the galaxy is currently being invaded by Reapers, so clusters are already conquered that are already conquered by the Reapers can be accessed using the Normandy's stealth drive. Search these clusters for survivors, salvage, and valuable intel. So, as you can see, there are some areas, like the Anno space in here, that look the way they would typically look in any other of the Mass Effect games, where it's just a dot. We can fast travel here using the mass relays, but new this time round, we see there are also these areas that have, Reapers in them, to put it bluntly, and that can complicate matters a bit. Yes, we can still travel to those areas. Let's see if the place we're looking to go right now does have a Reaper on it, and in fact it does, the Apian Crest, where we're looking to rescue the Turian Primarch. So maybe we will get the chance to see what exactly this entails, so let's enter here. Okay, so search and rescue. The Normandy is equipped with a new and improved scanning pulse that can detect objects of interest. Use this to uncover war assets, artifacts, intel, and fuel as you fly around a system. Be aware, however, that each time the pulse is used, the chance that Reapers will enter the system to investigate is increased. If a Reaper enters the system you are in, flee and wait until you have completed a mission before returning. So that is new. This is basically the replacement for planet scanning in any of the other Mass Effect games, where in Mass Effect 1, you could just fly over to any planet or moon and scan it, get some intel, occasionally get some resources. Mass Effect 2, similar story, just you'd actually, when you do that, and you try to scan a planet, you'd open up this separate little screen in which you can look around different areas of the planet and launch probes, and depending on where you launch that probe, you might get a different variety of resources, or sometimes even get enough information to launch an entire mission. But this time, if, for example, we were to scan here, we can see if anything will pop up. If we don't there, it is basically in that circle around our ship. Normally, doing that scan might alert the Reapers of our presence, or at least begin to alert the Reapers of our presence. Let's see if there's anything else that we might theoretically like to scan. Let's see, can we even, before scanning a planet, can we drive up here? We can. So, for example, we have Datrix, which is a small rock and ice planet with an extremely thin nitrogen-based atmosphere. Exploited for its metal deposits, the planet's iridium was marked as part of Palavin's strategic reserve during the Krogan rebellions. Its facilities have been maintained to this day. Scans indicate the Reapers did not destroy the surface facilities. It is possible they either did not see them as a threat, or plan on using them for their own purposes. A few Reaper destroyers serve as a skeleton crew here, backed by a capital ship in case the Turians attempt to retake the planet. So, yes, it is currently under Reaper control, they just haven't seemed to have destroyed some of the facilities that the Turians were previously using. Over here you'll see we also have a fuel depot, which is something that we did not need to concern ourselves with in Mass Effect 1, we functionally were able to travel any and everywhere we wanted to go, and there were no restrictions in terms of how much fuel we have. As you can see here, though, as we're driving by the fuel depot, that oil-like marker says 1,000 out of 1,000, much like in Mass Effect 2. If we're trying to go from not so much the mass relay clusters as much as driving from one system to the next with our actual Normandy here, that will start to use fuel, and if we run out of fuel, then we'll get teleported back to whatever the nearest area with a fuel depot slash mass relay is. Then we have Essens. And Essens is a hydrogen-helium gas giant that was home to a substantial Turian garrison defending the planet's fuel infrastructure. It once held a distribution center for anti-proton-based fuel, as well as the more common helium-3 collectors. The garrison is now gone. The Reapers drove the Turians off and destroyed all available machinery. So unlike the other planet we were just looking at, this one, they did destroy the machinery. The Reapers appear to have moved on, however. A few Volus ships are now visible, likely present to scavenge the wreckage. Volus. Really, guys? Alright, so we can try scanning here as well if we'd like. And so, at the moment, we are not actually generating any Reaper interest or any chance of Reapers hunting us down here. The reason for that being is that we have an actual mission in this system, the one we were just talking about, the main quest. So that means that the Reapers actually can't track us down here, but whenever we are not currently in an area that has a mission in it, that will change. I won't talk about that any further now, because of course, that's perhaps entering spoiler territory, and we don't need to discuss that just yet. But then we have Impera, a small planet. Impera is a hothouse of helium and argon. So small I thought it was a moon for a second. Well, I guess it's not near anything else, so by definition it's not a moon, but you know what I mean. The latter a product of decaying radioactive materials. Robo-mining was once lucrative here, but like the rest of the solar system, the only remaining veins are inaccessible by cost-effective means. The planet is named for Atron Impera, the Turian Machiavelli, whose ambitious political philosophies led to her reign as regent of the continent-spanning Nylan Empire for more than a decade. She famously combined citizenship tiers with a meritocracy rather than a caste system, which served to strengthen her empire. This practice fell in and out of favor for centuries before its revival early in the Turians' age of nation-states. The Reaper invasion largely ignored Impera, sending only a token force to destroy the scientific equipment around the planet. Okay? So basically, if we'd like to, we can kind of just go crazy scanning here. I'm not really sure we're going to find much of anything in the area because, I mean, this is the Turian home cluster, so, you know, chances are if there is anything of note here, the Turians have already done stuff to collect it. Then we have Palavin, and this is the Turian homeworld right here. And this is something that interested me so much back in, especially Mass Effect 1, where you first get exposed to all these different types of aliens, these species that you've never seen or heard of before, and they have all this rich history, and you're like, well, where did they come from? How did all this come to be? Obviously, we know so much about humans, but in the case of the Turians, the only thing on this planet that isn't silver are the Turians. It's all too clear they're made of steel. These were Alliance hero John Grissom's impressions of the Turian homeworld Palavin, seen by humans for the first time following the First Contact War. The Turians' martial attitude permeates every aspect of Palavan society, from architecture to art to politics. It's no surprise that their homeworld was never occupied by an invading force until now. The Reapers, aware of their enemy's reputation, brought overwhelming force to Palavin and did not hesitate to bombard cities that resisted, and all of them resisted. The dust and smoke from pulverized cities is now a breathing hazard across much of the planet. Water and power supplies have been all but vanished. The fight here has cost the Reapers dearly, however, so at least the Turians are putting up a fight. Alliance Travel Advisory: Palavin's weak magnetic field means solar radiation levels are greater than those found on other habitable worlds. Human visitors are advised to wear enviro suits or other radiation protection when visiting Palavin. That's actually the reason why, or the way in which Turians are able to avoid that extra radiation is that they actually have what is kind of sort of an exoskeleton. It's not strong enough that they actually get any significant physical protection from it, but it does shield them a bit from the radiation, which I believe is in the Codex in Mass Effect 1, the entry on the Turians there. But there you see 6.1 billion in terms of population, which is actually less than Earth. So interestingly, although the Turians have been at sort of this galactic level of civilization before the humans did, their home planet is actually smaller in that sense, population-wise. They do have 350,000 on orbital stations, at least pre-invasion. And then interestingly, in terms of comparing the conditions between Earth and Palavin, similar atmospheric pressure, temperature, gravity, so as you might expect. Of course, we will go to Monet, but we're going to do that last because that's where we're actually going to go on the mission. Then we have Calyx. Like nearby Eventon, Calyx was named for an ancient philosopher and author. But where Eventon wrote for the military leaders of tomorrow, Calyx focused on those who feed, clothe, heal, and arm the soldier. Her enormous tome, Service, features a lengthy chapter on laws that formed the basis for the Turian concept of citizenship tiers. Calyx is lower in temperature than Eventon, and its minerals were thus exploited first. The Turian defenses on Calyx are not completely destroyed, which is unusual. It may be that remnants of the scattered Turian fleet regrouped using the planet for cover, and eliminated the satellite-hunting Reaper destroyers before their mission was complete. More likely, the destroyers found a way to compromise the defenses through wireless hacking, and the unmanned drones present now obey them. Okay. So, yes, Reapers attacking that planet as well, and then here's the Eventon planet we were hearing about. Eventon is named for a tactician philosopher whose treatise on leadership is known by every Turian youth who pays attention in class. How many of those that is, we may never know. It is a small, hot rock planet surrounded by a haze of methane and helium. It was thoroughly mined for valuable minerals in the early days of the Turian space age, and since then has had little to offer. Eventon's token spy satellites and defense drones proved no match for even a small Reaper presence, and best reports suggest they have been eliminated. So that is the current state of Trebia, the home system of the Turians, and as we were hearing here, it seems like they've been hit pretty hard by the Reapers. So let's check out Monet, which is where we are planning to land. So Palavin's largest moon has been shrouded in secrecy since the dawn of the Turian space age. During the Krogan rebellions, the hierarchy classified nearly all data on Monet and its sister moon, Nanus, because they feared the Krogan could use the moons as weapons by smashing them into Palavin's surface. Okay, that's, I suppose it's possible, but that's a little extreme. However, some information has leaked out. Images of Turian bases where personnel walk without envirosuits indicate advanced infrastructure, likely a network of subterranean tunnels with powerful Mass Effect field generators that retain heat and atmosphere over swaths of the surface. The Reapers' plans for bombarding the bases were met with fierce resistance by the Turian fleet and the moon's anti-aerospace defenses. With their easy victory stalled, the Reapers deployed a variety of ground units to take the bases one at a time. The Turians have the advantage on the moon, but the Reapers have the patience to slowly grind them down. With every base captured, the Reapers deny the Turian fleet another place to repair or refuel. And so, basically all the information about Monet is classified, as you see here, but it seems as though perhaps this is a place of some military significance to the Turians, because they appear to have numerous bases here. So this is where we're planning to go. Let's do it. So this, I believe, is actually the first time we've seen the squad selection screen, and, well, it is not terribly impressive at the moment, because we have precisely 2 squad mates. So that means, much like in Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, as we've already seen, we are going to be doing most missions with Shepard and 2 other squad mates, so we quite literally have no choice in this situation who we're going for. We can, however, cycle appearances, and if we go with the info here as well, we can actually see that I alluded to this briefly in Mass Effect 2, But you get the alternate outfits in Mass Effect 2, and it's purely just cosmetic in that case. In Mass Effect 3, however, there actually is an armor bonus tied to the appearance. So in this case, Liara's armor gives her the recharge speed, but alternatively, see, some of them are going to be the same thing. Yeah, that's also recharge speed. This one, however, is power damage. So generally, of course, the armors are going to be giving bonuses that are consistent with the type of character that we're looking at. Like Liara's stuff is always going to be either power damage or power recharge speed, which as a very power-based character makes a lot of sense. Whereas if we compare that to what James has, he has either shields or weapon damage, and that makes a lot more sense for James. This also looks kind of freaky. His very odd, is that helmet? Not exact visor? Mask? I guess mask? He's got some interesting eyewear in many cases. I think we'll stick with the shields for him, at least for the moment. But for Liara, well, we might go perhaps the recharge speed, just to, no, not like that. This one? There we go. Because at least when we are focusing on using stasis somewhat frequently, we've seen that, the stasis recharge time is extremely slow. So until we upgrade that further, it's going to be a long time in between using stasis and using any other ability for her. So getting any additional recharge speed specifically for using stasis, I think will be a big boost. So let's proceed with the two of them, because they're the only two we can pick. And now we've seen this a bit in the past, where we can choose whatever weapons we want to take. In the past, it was whenever we got a new weapon. Now we get to choose before we actually start up this mission. So we have the starting weapon for each category here: the katana for shotguns, the predator for pistols, the shuriken for SMGs, the Avenger for assault rifles, and the Mantis for sniper rifles. We actually have a second assault rifle, though. We also have the Vindicator. So for us, as a power-based build, we're going to want to keep things light, because the weight of the weapons, the total weight of the weapons, is what dictates our power recharge speed number that you see in the middle there. And so that's why, we're probably not going to want to do things like use the Vindicator. So we probably will, for the most part, be sticking to just SMG and pistol, because those tend to be the lightest. And in this case, fortunately for us, this combination still has us at the maximum of 200% recharge speed. It can't go any faster than that. So let's just see. I don't think we have any mods on our pistol spot yet, which is unfortunate. We do have some for our SMG. Yeah, like if we go... No, we don't even have the option to check out our weapon mods. Okay. Yeah, so we'll stick with that for us. Then for James and Liara, it's not quite the same, because they don't have the weapon weight that affects their recharge speed. They just always have the same default recharge speed. So that means if we wanted to, we could load up on a bunch of heavy stuff for them. They can only choose from a specified set of weapon types, though. They don't have the same flexibility of using whatever type of weapon Shepard, or whatever type of weapon you'd like Shepard can. So for Liara, that means, much like we're doing right now for Shepard, pistols, SMGs, but for James, as we've seen before, shotgun and assault rifle. So for James, I think it does make sense for us to switch over to the Vindicator. And, katana, we don't really have an option here, although we do have some mods we can throw on here. And the high caliber barrel is really nice, because it's just 15% increased damage, so why not? And then we also have the Shredder mod, which allows bullets to pierce through 0.25 meter thick objects, which sounds a little crazy, and that's because, especially if you can get that number bigger, it is. You can shoot through, in this case, very thin cover, but if you get that number big enough, you can quite literally shoot through walls, and so that can be very effective, at least at high numbers. And the whole reduced damage component might dissuade you, might make you a little nervous to throw this on, but don't worry, that is specifically only giving you reduced damage when you are shooting through that cover or those walls, and if you aren't doing that, then you're still getting full damage. And you might say, well, sure, but that just doesn't seem like a huge boost. However, there's also the ignores 25% of defenses on armored targets. We've not seen much if any, in the way of enemies that have armor as a defensive layer thus far, but much like in Mass Effect 2, there's going to be enemies that have health, shields, barriers, and armor, and every weapon and every ability might deal a different amount of damage based on what type of defenses you're using them on. And so, one of the things about armor specifically is that it mitigates some of the damage that you deal to those enemies. Armor is sort of like, it functions like a health bar, yes, but it also has a protective layer, it gives them defenses, much like you would expect from armor. So, since it is oftentimes bosses that have armor, it's really nice to be able to ignore some of those defenses from armored targets. So, at 25%, it's not a huge deal, but that's still a nice luxury to have, especially if we can upgrade this further. So, we'll definitely keep that on. And then the assault rifle, yeah, no mods on that. So, did we put SMG mods on for Liara, though? I mean, we can. We can. So, I think it's ultralight materials here, which reduces the weight, as we were saying before. It doesn't really matter for Liara, because she's not affected by weapon weight, but that's the general gist of this process. Then we do have some additional points here to use, and I think we were hoping to upgrade throw up to double throw as soon as possible. We are very close to getting there. We're kind of close to leveling up. We're more than 50% of the way through, and so maybe if we wait just a little bit longer, because in Mass Effect 3, as we were saying before, it is possible to gain experience mid-mission, we might be able to get up to throw, the highest level of throw 6, before we get into too much trouble. Otherwise, I think pull has been good for us at just level 1. That's been sufficient. Cluster grenade, obviously, we would not quite have enough to upgrade this at the moment either. But we have passives from fitness or bionic mastery that we could consider. Those would probably be our most viable alternatives to waiting to upgrade throw. But I think we'll be fine if we wait a little bit on those. Then for James. For him, let's see. So we've fully upgraded his incendiary ammo, and the way that we chose to spec this was to give us the ammo, well, that's not the important part, the squad ammo. That means that everyone in the party is getting incendiary ammo, and speaking of types of skills that deal extra damage to armor, this is one of them, or at least makes our weapons all deal extra damage to armor, so that will be useful, especially because at this stage, Liara can get an ammo ability, but I don't believe we chose to do that at the beginning. So for James, other than the ammo, which we prioritized early, I'm thinking, let's see, Carnage we at least have 1 point in. I don't think that's going to be a huge deal for him. Our plan for him is basically to make him a really defensive, tanky character that when it comes to dealing damage is going to be doing most of it via his weapons. And so I think most of that is going to come from things like Arms Master here, where he's going to start to get weapon damage bonus. So that might be worth investing in further here. Or alternatively, and we do have just enough points to do that, so that is tempting. Alternatively, we can start to put more points into fortification, and that would certainly focus on the defensive component, as you might imagine. The reason why we were a little bit hesitant to do this previously was because, well, short term it's not the best. Recharge time when armor is purged, that's just not really something we're looking to have him do, because purging the armor means you lose the defensive element, but you gain the melee damage element, which is not really what we want to focus on. We want it for the defense. So that's not going to be a big upgrade. We would not be able to afford both rank 2 and rank 3, and even then it's still just melee damage. So yeah, if we're thinking purely from a short-term standpoint, I mean, I suppose it could be Frag Grenade as well. That'd be perhaps the most immediate form of damage for him, and we probably will end up taking this all the way up to rank 6 eventually. But let's see, do we prioritize 120 extra damage on his grenade? Or when it comes to his passive for this, I'm thinking we probably go the weapon damage here, and it'd be 20% extra weapon damage. I mean, our weapons are not fantastic right now, but I think I am probably leaning toward this. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, so that perfectly allocates his points. Then for Liara, we have precisely 3, which is enough to upgrade stasis again. It increases the duration, which is nice. It means that with that humongous recharge speed, at least there's only a relatively brief amount of time in which the enemy is out of stasis and Liara is still waiting to get her cooldown back. So, I mean, we're making improvements there, but we still wouldn't be quite at the stage where she can chain one stasis into another. Alternatively, we have the warp ammo, which, as we were saying, is probably not going to be high priority, at least not right now when we have James providing ammo for us. So, I think, yeah, it's either upgrading stasis further, or we did see that Liara's combos were insufficient when it came to taking out people with biotic explosions. They were not capable of doing so with just one explosion, and that means upgrading either warp or singularity, which is usually her primer, would be significant in doing, or at least might not single-handedly get her there, but to get her closer, because the thing that determines how much damage the explosion does is generally what is the level of the ability that is priming the enemy for the explosion and the thing that is detonating the enemy for the explosion. And she's at rank 4 out of 6 for both of them, whereas we're at rank 6 out of 6 for both of them, and that's the big difference damage-wise with our explosions. So we can't afford either of those upgrades right now, but it might be significant enough of a difference maker that it's worth holding out for these. I think it might be. Specifically, I think in Singularity, maybe. So that way, we're still getting some good crowd control. We can make up for the fact that we are not immediately upgrading stasis further. So I think that's the plan. We're waiting for Liara, we're waiting for Shepard, and James is looking good. That's a lot of ships. And then there's Reapers. So that's really cool to see all the fighting there between the Reapers and the Turians, because, I mean, we've heard about those things, but very rarely do we see it firsthand.
Oh no. No. Palavin.
We have an old friend there.
Holy hell. They're getting decimated.
Yeah.
Strongest military in the galaxy, and the Reapers are obliterating it.
Was it like this on Earth?
Yes.
Shepard. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Commander, the LZ's getting swarmed.
James, open that hatch.
Alright, we gotta clear the landing zone. And as we're dropping down here, we actually can hit a bunch of these husks. So let's act quickly. And Singularity. And ideally, warp as well. Try to blow up as many as possible. That looks like a Turian friend.
Alright, get in, get out. Let's move.
Alright, and down we go. We are out and we are on the moon, Monet. And we gotta help our Turian friends here. But, I'll tell you what, before we do, just wanna, before I forget, there's one thing that I meant to do previously. I'm actually not sure what category it's gonna fall under. That being just putting the subtitles on, because at times, I mean, I'm trying not to talk over all that stuff, but it does happen on occasion. Let's see, what is it under? Not 100% sure. Calibration? I don't know, ask Garrus. Maybe even sound? Music volume, dialogue volume? Pretty sure we, well, I would doubt it would be on the options here. Key bindings, we tried gameplay, right? Didn't we? Did we? I mean, it also just doesn't seem like this would be the kind of thing that's on gameplay. Ooh, I do kind of like taking our helmet off for conversations, though. And off in conversations there? Yeah. Let's do that. But, unfortunately, I mean, I didn't see it there. But maybe on a future occasion, I will try to make a point of doing that. Alright, so we got a bunch of husks. So let us take them out. And husks are fantastic targets for our biotic combos with Singularity plus Warp. Because, as we're seeing here, it is sufficient. One combo, I mean, they can immediately get sucked into the Singularity, no setup necessary. And that is enough damage to take them out. And that one just walks straight in, so don't even need to launch another Singularity. That one might help us out here. Yes, it will. This one, I mean, Liara also put a Singularity right next to our Singularity. So, we're kind of husk specialists. Not that that's saying too much, but it's a useful skill to have. So, let's see. Before we get too involved here, let's just see if there's anything else in the area. Generally, get a lay of the land, and... well, this is what things look like here. They do certainly have what seems to be a pretty extensive system of bases and what have you. So, they were keeping it top secret, those Turians, but perhaps they just wanted to make this be their secret weapon of sorts. Not have the rest of the galaxy know that they have all this firepower stored up here on their moon. And they also didn't want the Krogan to send the moon crashing into Palavin, apparently. Don't think we can go over here, but you can also hear signs of the Reapers. Okay. So we didn't need to fire our weapon once, which is a good sign. That is something that has happened to us in the past. I mean, as a power-based character, that's kind of a good sign. Something about head over to the barricade. Okay. There is a set of parts we can salvage here for a decent chunk of credits, so that's definitely a nice thing to have. Why don't we save, just because I don't think we've saved yet, on Monet. Getting Monet on Monet. You know it. Can we head over here? We can.
That Reaper is enormous.
Saw bigger ones on Earth. A whole lot of them.
Goddess.
Oh, that Reaper. Yes, that is a big Reaper. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. That's not a good sign. Alright, so, of course, we would expect to find a bunch of Turians here, so that makes sense. We need to find the commanding officer. Okay, so this is the base, or at least a base. So let's look around here, because I think we will find a lot of stuff in this general area. Hopefully not Reapers in this area just yet. Hopefully Turians are able to hold down the fort a bit. Let's see, ground report. Knowledge of the terrain is our only advantage here, and that's not going to last forever if they keep throwing their forces at us. We'll hold this area as long as we can. I'm linking my transponder to the life signal monitoring system on the unit's suits. If it goes out, send another unit here ASAP. Okay, we get a little bit of experience there and a little bit of insights as to what's been going on here. Datapad here for more credits, and the Viper, which is a new weapon for us. We can take a look if we'd like. It is a new sniper rifle. It is lighter than the Mantis, higher capacity, higher rate of fire, but lower damage, and I don't think we've really checked this out much, but we can read up on them, and sometimes that is informative in terms of what the weapon does that's unique. So the Viper is a semi-automatic, rapid-fire sniper rifle manufactured by Rosenkopf Materials, so a bit of a hybrid between a sniper and assault rifle, perhaps. Rosenkopf developed a patented automated release system that assists with thermal clip ejection, shortening the Viper's reload time. This rifle is popular with military snipers who appreciate a long-range gun that can snap off multiple shots in the blink of an eye. I think theoretically, with that higher rate of fire, it can deal a lot of damage, but as you're seeing here, comparing the Viper against the Mantis with that damage column, certainly not as powerful with a single shot as the Mantis would be. We are not going to take any sniper rifle, though. They're way too heavy, for us at least, and as we were seeing before, when we have our recharge time at its best, it means we can throw off biotic combos all the time, and that's going to be our greatest strength. Let's see, so those guys look important, yes, but before we chat with them, let's see if we can find any other things of interest here, because there may be. There's a few things here. Assault rifle piercing mod. That sounds interesting for assault rifle users. That doesn't include us, but that could include James. Then we have the scimitar. We check out our loadout here. We'll see that that is a new shotgun. And the deal with that is it is manufactured by Area Technologies. The scimitar features twin mass effect generators, giving it a more rapid rate of fire than a traditional shotgun. This weapon was created for the Eclipse mercenary band, but it's rapidly becoming popular with the Blood Pack mercs as well. So, a little bit of throwback to Mass Effect 2 in that way. It is actually kind of similar to what we were seeing with the sniper rifle that we just picked up. Lower damage than our starting weapon, but it is a faster rate of fire, roughly the same weight. So this one, I mean, obviously we're probably not about to put on a shotgun for the same reasons we were just saying we're not going to be using a sniper rifle, but we could consider doing something like that for James. I mean, we actually are not allowed to do that on this screen right here, unless we're actually at an actual weapons bench. But it is one of the lower DPS shotguns, I believe, but it is good for just the spray and pray, you know, shoot as many shots as possible and hope you hit stuff, which perhaps on, you know, lower difficulties for newer players might be an interesting option, but for us, that's just not going to be a great fit. And we get some armor there, as well as another datapad from Commander Hexnar, supplies. They sent us winter gear. Not sure what they thought we'd do with that kind of gear here, but I supposed we should thank the spirits nonetheless. Power sources can be cannibalized and converted to power our combat gear's filtering units instead, at least. It'll be nice not to have those clogging up anymore. That gives us some more intel and some more experience. Medkit for more experience, out of curiosity. With those, yeah, I mean, that's almost enough experience for us to level up right here. So as we were saying before, our hope was that, you know, we were saving up for some big upgrades, skills-wise, that we couldn't quite afford, but should be close. We get the next level to being able to do that. Let's see, so now we're still looking for the commanding officer, and I think we may have found everything in this area now. I think. Well, actually, there might be a little bit more. Might be a little bit more. Like over here. The Armex Arsenal Shoulder Guard. So, more gear. Then a pistol piercing mod. Then a weapons bench. So here we can actually switch around our gear if we would like. Let's just take a look around because there is some more stuff. Pistol magazine upgrade. And a datapad. It's just pure credits. So basically we've gotten a few piercing mods, which means doing extra damage to armor. Kind of like what we've seen for, I forget which type of weapon we had that on previously. So that's probably worth throwing onto our pistol here. So let's check it out. So we can improve our magazine size, which just means we can shoot more shots, which is convenient, but doesn't directly affect damage. And then piercing mod means pierce through 0.5 meter thick objects. That's definitely something. That does give us a damage penalty when we're doing that, but it's better than dealing no damage shooting through cover and walls. So that's nice, and then ignores 25% of defenses on armored targets, as we were saying, against big enemies. That might be useful. So that's nice. We'll do that with our Predator. And then, did we get anything new for the SMG? Doesn't look like it. But now we do have the option of switching things around with our squad mates as well. So with Liara, we can throw on the same stuffs for her. Then for James, we could switch around his shotgun, but as I was saying, not the biggest fan of the new shotgun that we got, the Scimitar. And I think we are still looking at the Vindicator as our only assault rifle, except we did pick up the piercing mod for the assault rifle as well. Once again, means piercing through 0.5 meter cover and 25% reduced protection on enemies that have armor. So, small upgrades, but some upgrades for everyone. So that's certainly nice. And I think now we've got everything.
Get your men up on that north barricade.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Bartis, find a way to get that comm tower operational.
Sir. General?
Commander Shepard, heard you were coming, but I didn't believe it. General Corinthos.
I've come to get Primarch Fedorian.
That doesn't look
Primarch
good.
Fedorian is dead. His shuttle was shot down an hour ago as it tried to leave the moon.
Oh, that's not
gonna
good.
complicate things.
So the Primarch is dead. That is probably an issue. So other than that, how's it going over here? How you guys doing?
How bad is it, General?
We just lost about 400 men in half an hour. We set up camps on this moon as an advanced position to flank the enemy. A sound strategy. Just...
Irrelevant.
Exactly. The sheer force of the Reapers seems to make them immune to that sort of tactic. The Primarch and his men found that out the hard way.
Yikes. Yeah, and bear in mind, this is largely considered to be the best military in the galaxy, the Turians military, so this is no small force trying to fend off the Reapers. It is the best force that we have. So, sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry. I hear he was a good man.
And a friend. He would have been an outstanding diplomat.
So what happens now?
The Turian hierarchy provides very clear lines of succession.
Right. General Corinthos?
With such heavy casualties, it's hard for me to be certain who the next Primarch is. Palavin Command will know. However, at the moment, contacting them is impossible. The comm tower is out. Husks are swarming that area. We can't get close enough to repair it.
Don't worry, General. I'll get your tower operational.
That
Thank you, Commander.
we can help
I'll
with.
take care of things on this end.
All right, let's go.